What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And this week, we have Chris Abicon.
What's going on, everybody?
What is up? So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So if you have not already, please go back. Monday and Tuesday were our topics. Wednesday, a really good discussion. Thursdays, I have Ask a CISSP. So for the past I'd say 3 or 4 Thursdays. I've had the honor of having people on the show. This week is no exception. So if you have not already last week, definitely tune into that one with Darren King. We have a CMMC 2.0 clinic. He runs through a lot of really good stuff to do with the new regulation. And then this week I talked to Alan Westley. He is in the GRC space as well. He's a defense contractor, and talks about AI as well as data management. So really good conversation. So if you listen to this on Friday, you already listened to it on Thursday. So great stuff. Thank you. If you have not, go back, listen to it. And then next week, I have another guest as well. So we're just rolling into it. I think I have one more guest after that one already scheduled. So we're just going to keep it rolling. Definitely enjoy it. Uh, with that being said, this one is the non-cybersecurity related one, right? So this is us just rambling about what we did over the past couple weeks, as well as all the non-cyber related stuff, right? So we might spring a little bit of it in here, but mostly this is focused on everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, how was your week or so, Shannon?
It was all right. So watched a couple of things, man. I finished up the Reacher series. I don't know if you guys have been watching that.
Still haven't jumped on it yet.
Not
I,
yet.
I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed in the second season. So they did more of telling me what they're doing while they're doing it, and I kind of don't like that, right? Like if you're typing on the computer and you're going to show me the screen, you can't say I'm hacking into this company when you just showed me you're hacking into, like, you're wasting
Right.
dialogue. You know what I mean? Like get to booting people in the chest and doing all types of other stuff, right? The way it started, the first couple episodes, the way it started, it was great, right? The investigative part of it and all of that, I loved it. But this part, as it started to end, I was just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like it just wasn't for me. If they come out with a third season, which I'm pretty sure they will, I'll probably give it a shot. But I don't know if I could be able to go a full 8 episodes again if it's like this. You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
writing just needs to be better. Stop doing that. You know what I mean? Couple other things I watched. I watched this movie Champions with Woody Harrelson, and it's him being suspended
Oh,
as
okay.
a basketball coach, and he starts to coach this team of adults with intellectual difficulties, right? Because they don't all have like Down syndrome or whatever it may be. Like some have had TBIs, things of that nature, right? But it is funny because they rag on him kind of hard, like the yeah, the team. And it's like, oh my gosh. And like there's sometimes where he's laughing in the movie where I think he's laughing for real and it's not scripted.
Right.
A chuckle is
Mhm.
from him, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, I like seeing stuff like that because it means people are enjoying what they're doing, you know what I mean? But it's a funny movie. So if you get a chance to watch that, it's pretty funny. Champions is the name of it. But what was the other thing I watched? I watched this other one called Making Babies, is what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a comedy though. It's a comedy. So it's this couple that are having issues, getting pregnant. They've been married for a few years trying to get pregnant, but it's a comedy about different stuff that happens. So his brother comes into it. His brother, he's kind of going through a midlife crisis because he found a gray pubic hair. You know what I mean? So he's got this motorcycle, and his brother is not in good shape by any means, right? Like, so he's on this motorcycle. They show a scene of him driving his motorcycle, and you're sure he's gonna fall off of it, like he's wobbly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's called Making Babies. Is the name of it. It was pretty good. But the most important thing I've been watching is this Ravens march to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna let y'all know.
Right. Right.
Hey,
There's one left. One
wee,
person on the panel is still left.
wee. Look, I'm just telling you, I feel good about this year, y'all. I feel good. Now, saying this, I don't believe in superstition or jinxing or anything like that. But if for whatever reason we do lose, it's not because of me. All right, it's one of y'all out
There it
there.
is.
I support it. Okay.
It'll be because of
But
the refs. The refs
so
have been ruling this season.
So have you seen the articles on the referees for both of these championship games?
No, I haven't peeped it.
So the guy for the Ravens game, um, the average for teams winning home games is something high. It's like 68%, 70%, something like that. The
Yeah.
guy that's reffing our game today, the home team's only winning like 43 or 45% of his games or something like that.
Jeez.
I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a drastic difference. And I'm like, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but that might be what I hang on to, if
Right, right.
we lose.
I'm just like let them play. Like I get like keeping the players safe. Like I'm not saying that. Like the people were just like, yeah, it should be like the 70s and 80s. Like no, those people all have TBI. No, it should not be
And
like that.
now you want me to get into every referee in the NFL now, and I want to research their statistics. What, hey, do they have favorite teams or do they have favorite
Right,
teams they like to penalize, right? So I think that's a really cool like little data point. Like now it's not just, hey, which team has the better offense and defense. Hey, I want to know which freaking referees are in the game and
right.
what
The
their
coaching
statistics
staff.
are. Because like,
It's got to already exist though, right? Like AWS is
yeah.
in every commercial for the
Oh
NFL.
yeah.
Like they've already collected
But
that.
like that's the one thing I don't enjoy about the NFL. It's just the variance in like flags being
Yeah, it's
called.
true.
Some games are literally like every play. But then some games are just like when they just let the players do what they do, those games are amazing. They are great to watch. But the
Yeah.
NFL, I mean, some referees just love to throw that flag around and
And
just,
and the commentators are usually honest about it. They're like every
yeah.
play has holding. They just so
Yeah.
happen to catch this one. That's why because a lot of people are like, well, maybe it should just be like AI or
Yeah.
something else handling it, or it should be more replays and things of that nature. But I was like, you would see a penalty on
Yeah.
every single play, so it has to have
Right.
that human perception where they don't see
Uh
stuff in order for it to actually happen.
Right. So I'm a big tennis fan, and they incorporated in the Grand Slams. They incorporated line calling that's actually based on camera. It uses it's a it's extremely accurate, more accurate than
Right.
the human eye, right? But if they implemented this in the NFL, where every just imagine
Yeah, it's
like
a
a
camera in every
barcode.
helmet.
There's a barcode or camera in everybody's helmet,
Yeah,
right? And or like sensors in everybody's helmet when they when people feel the face mask. Just
yeah.
imagine. I don't think it would be watchable because
It'd be every
every
play.
play would be
Every play would be a flag. So it can't exist.
right.
Fortunately or unfortunately.
Unfortunately or unfortunately. But
Yeah,
part of the beauty of football because like hey, it's violence. It's ordained violence, with rules. And as human beings, we love watching violence since, the gladiator days. We just love it, right? But to put rules in this, I think it would I don't know. It's something crazy. But again, back to my original point, referees. I want a referee roster. I want to know on a percentages, right? And I'm curious to see like who's like for me, like as an NFC North fan, I think Green Bay gets all the calls, right? And anybody watching football, like the Cowboys get all the calls every time, right? So and more recently, it's been the Chiefs. So I just want to know who's refereeing these freaking games.
yeah,
But it's only going to lead to conspiracy theories at that point, right?
Correct.
So, and here's the thing: the referees have had a bad year this year, man. Like it's there's no denying that they have just been
Yeah.
on a lot of games, on a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's only going to be because another thing I hear is that as soon as they said that gambling was okay for NFL games, like people were like, "Oh, here it is. Games are going to start being rigged. This is going to be this. Is going to be this." I'm like, in a conspiracy that large, like there's no way you can keep it under wraps. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There's just no way. You got on the field at any one time, it's six or seven referees of any type. Like there's no way that you have it to where this conspiracy can be held. All the people in the league office, you'd have to have people in the teams in on it. You know what I mean? Because the team owner would have to be accepting of, okay, I understand I'm gonna lose now. You know what I mean? Like,
right. At that point, it's the
But
WWE.
but
yeah.
but I'm willing to bet. Obviously, I think the teams they got to have like a dossier of referees, and they probably send in their like experts, like, hey, go talk to this dude, or hey, you know him, go say hi to him, right? The little preemptive action there.
So that's the before the game stuff. right? Like I said
Yeah,
before,
yeah, yeah,
because the referees are out there, you know what I mean? And like you'll see coaches go talk to them, chat them up. And as much as they hate them throughout the game, right? It's one of those things like you talk to them before the game, butter them up. Like, hey, we noticed,
yeah.
if you guys just keep an eye out for this, like that happens all the time. Keep an eye out for this because you've heard coaches say it, but like, yeah, I made them aware of this thing that they do that they should look out for in the game. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
yes, we're
I mean,
supposed to, you
I
know.
mean, there's some positive developments though, like specifically touchdowns, right? Especially in playoff games. Now that's like it's like replayed 1,000 times on what for us as viewers, and they're going into the little Microsoft Surface box where they're going. That's a good thing. I think those are positive changes where we have absolute closer to an absolute answer,
You're right.
right?
And even in the regular season, Chris, like they review every turnover. Like it does not have to be challenged. Every turnover is reviewed. Every touchdown is reviewed, right? Without
Hmm.
being prompted. You don't have to throw the red flag or anything like that. So it's one of those things where like we got to make sure we get this right. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they always get it right, right? Because it's like there are sometimes like I don't know what the rule is anymore. Like I've read what the rule says it is. That looks like that meets the intent of the law, and I just don't know. And it's interesting because like Ryan, how you were talking about how the commentators like call stuff out.
Yep.
Like every every network now has their rules expert too, right? And
Yes.
they're a
Yeah.
former ref, and there are sometimes they do stuff. They be like, I do not agree with that call. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a bad look when a person that whether they used to be they were usually a referee that was in the office like handling the referees and now they're
Right.
making more money being on TV and they're like I don't see that call being that way like that's not a good look for
Hmm.
the NFL, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. They probably have a conversation later on, right? When they have their annual meeting. Like, come on, man, you gotta stop dogging us. But it's going to be interesting. Like, so I'm excited for today's matchups. The Kansas City versus Ravens one I'm talking about, like the 49ers Lions. It'd be cool if the Lions won. I don't have any investment in either one of those teams. Um, I just want KC to lose. I'm a jaded
So
Bills fan. I want them to lose.
I want the team that hasn't won a Super Bowl to win, and I'm biased. I'm saying go Lions. Like hey, I want to see North represent. Although it would sting a little bit because the Vikings have lost 4 Super Bowls. Right, it would be crazy if the Lions would get a Super Bowl before the Vikings.
Yeah,
It
I
would
was just thinking the
hurt.
same thing. I was just thinking the same thing. I
So
don't want that.
for me, I think I'm rooting for them because the likelihood of them winning is, I think, getting past the 49ers and, potentially the Ravens Chiefs is not high. But it's nice to root for the underdog. But if that time comes, I think I might switch. But oh shit, they might actually win.
Well, here's the thing. But here's what you have to remember, right? And I know we talked about this offline, right? So like
Yeah,
what if this season starts or ends how it started? So the first game of the season was Kansas City and Detroit won. Detroit won that game. They beat Kansas City, right? Now
that's
mind
true.
you,
That's a true statement.
we're 20 weeks later, right? Like
Right.
we're way farther down the line, but that could be the case. And both teams are different. Like they've learned some things, right? Players that
Hmm.
in the first game aren't there now, things of that nature, right? But it could happen, right? The possibility is there just by nature of both of them being in the championship game. Like I wouldn't want to see that, right? I'd probably still be crying on the couch, if my Ravens put out, but
Right.
it's whatever. But it could happen, man. And that would be a great like sports media would love for the Lions to win. They really would, right? Because you have it being their first Super Bowl. Now they've had NFL championships before Super Bowls, right? They had
Right.
AFL,
Hmm.
NFL championships, but them to win it, and you also have the storyline of Jared Goff. He was cast out of LA, right?
LA.
Stafford, and Stafford goes and wins the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. If he goes to Detroit and wins it, they'll be like, well, what was the problem there then? Like he just led this team to a Super Bowl win, right? So uh,
Right.
sports media would love it. Like all the stories that can come out of that, right? Like sports media would just be they would be so giddy with that. I'm just telling
And also, there's also the novelty of them winning the Super Bowl, and the Wolverines, the Michigan University of
you.
Michigan
Yeah, that's
Wolverines
true.
winning at the same
Yeah,
time. It's like, oh, like Michigan is now the championship
yeah.
football state, right? So
They'd be the Champa Bay. Like that.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. I'm sick of it down here in
Honestly,
Tampa.
Tampa, yeah, like I'm not a Tampa Bay fan. I am a Vikings fan, unfortunately, but Tampa Bay is annoying. Like it's so annoying. Like, it's
Champ,
so
we're
annoying.
Champa Bay.
Like you're
Oh,
not
God,
even from here. You're
here.
from New York.
Yeah,
Shut
but I
your
say nobody's
mouth.
from here.
Nobody's from here. Oh man.
I don't know. but I'm predicting it'll be Ravens 49ers. So that's my prediction. I think it's the safest bet too. So we'll see what comes of it. I'm gonna be
That's a
watching.
repeat, right, from a few years ago. So I think that was yeah, that's a
It was when the Harbaugh brothers. It was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. It's when
with
the
Colin
Harbaugh
Kaepernick,
brothers
right?
played. Yep, Harbaugh
Yeah,
brothers played
Colin.
each other, which is going to be a possibility again, right? Because Harbaugh's coaching the Chargers now,
Yeah.
so it could be a
Oh
possibility.
yeah,
Not playing in the Super Bowl, but then playing each other again.
NFC Championship game, etc. Yeah, it's and interestingly enough, Harbaugh wasn't he a quarterback for the Chargers, which is pretty interesting.
Was it the Chargers? Was he a quarterback for the
Yeah,
Chargers?
I think so.
I thought it was
Might have been
he had the Colts and who was the other team for Harbaugh? Might have been the Bears. I don't know.
interesting. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But we'll see what comes of it, right? Like I'll be on the couch, glued to my couch today, right? I'm more interested in the first game than the second game, but I'm gonna be watching both. Um, what about you, Chris? What you got going on this past week?
So we've been in the quest for finding another, crime show. Like we like watching, like my wife and I really
Okay.
enjoy watching. Yeah, we just love watching crime shows, right? So we got sick of watching too much Dateline. It just got too sad. Like after like binge watching Peacock, Dateline, like it's like, hey, you just become jaded as a person. Like everybody's a freaking murderer right now.
Yeah.
But but we've been looking for shows. So we were actually in between a few shows. So we watched we started watching The Sopranos. I've seen the entire Sopranos, but I'm introducing it to my wife. Very good show. I just think
Very
it's
good show.
yeah, it's very good from this perspective of like, hey, this psychopath, Tony Soprano, and he goes to see a therapist and he talks about, his problems. I think that right there is really the crux of the show, and it's just extremely interesting. And then maybe after we're finished with that, we'll get started with The Wire, another one of the great shows. Baltimore represent, right?
Wire.
It's crazy is I've never seen The Wire. It's on my
The
list.
Wire is amazing. It's just
I'm from Maryland, but yeah, never seen
yeah, but The Wire is outstanding. A lot of memes from The Wire, like that guy goes.
Yeah, it's time. It's kind of
It's
timeless. Like,
timeless. It's
yeah,
timeless.
I started watching it myself. Because I've seen it sparingly, but I started actually
Mm.
watching it, and I can't. There's certain things where you're like, okay, this is a little bit older, but for the most part, it's pretty timeless. Like you can watch it and not feel dated.
Yeah, for sure. Michael B. Jordan's in it as a kid.
That's
Really?
crazy. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that crazy to think about? But yeah, like you watch all those like great movies and shows from 90s to early 2000s, and it's like, oh yeah, this is where a lot of these actors got started. Like Vin Diesel was Saving Private Ryan, right? Like little things like that. But anyway, like we want to get back into like the crime shows and things like that. So we got this recommendation to watch this new show on Netflix called Fool Me Once.
okay.
It's one of the it's apparently from the same author where I forgot the name of the guy, but it's interesting, right? We started watching it. It's essentially this female army helicopter pilot, murder mystery thing, but it was just so contrived. Like I feel like some of the writing was really bad. We watched like the
Mm.
first episode, and it's like I can't do this, right? We can't, like, because there's so many bad shows on Netflix that are popular, and I'm like, I'm not gonna give this any more views. Like I don't recommend it personally. You can watch it, but I just don't recommend Fool Me Once. And
Is
you know what we
is
did? We just went ahead and like on YouTube. Hey, is this worth watching? Summer review. And we watched the spoiler reviews. I'm like, okay, that's exactly how we thought we would end it. It's stupid. I don't know if you guys ever come to that conclusion.
Netflix is like that, man. Like I don't. It's because they want to do their own content because I think it's making them more money to do their own
Yeah.
content and have that stuff
Mm.
right than to buy rights for other stuff that people may want to see, right? So like for Netflix, I don't get a lot of watches out of Netflix, but the Fool Me Once, is that the one where the husband supposedly died or something like that?
Yeah,
Or
the husband supposedly dies, and the
yeah,
thing is, like, we've watched so many detective shows, like the British ones, the American ones, yada yada. Like when a detective gets a lead, it's supposed to freaking go with the lead and look into it, right? Not just, oh, I'm gonna target the person who I think it's gonna be, right? There's an aspect of just like, hey, are these just idiotic detectives, right? And I'm just sick of seeing that. Like I'm sick of, hey, it's just like plot convenient for the detective to be an idiot to not look into something,
Right.
right? I can't watch that. I can't waste my time with shows like that anymore. Yeah, but like I think Netflix is on the hey quantity. They just like buy the rights for a bunch of intellectual property, and then they pump out shows as quickly as possible. With they've got the Netflix formula down. They know how to film stuff, right? There's Netflix approved cameras, right? There's an SOP for creating Netflix documentaries and TV shows, but that doesn't equate to good writing and good content, right? And that's really what's kind of just annoying about Netflix. Um, I'm a big Apple TV fan, right? I'm eagerly awaiting the next season of oh my God, I'm brain farting. It's the show where they're stuck at work. Severance. Severance. I'm eagerly awaiting
Oh, so
that.
I have not watched it yet. It's
Go
good.
watch Severance. Severance, I mean, like it's one of those like amazing. That first season is like True Detective season one good, in my opinion. Right? It's just outstanding television. So I
couldn't
enjoyed it.
I couldn't get into True Detective.
Season one, I thought True Detective season one was great.
Yeah,
Season
that's
two,
Woody Harrelson and McConaughey, right?
yeah, I think that right there is peak TV for me as a crime show, murder show fan. Um, but yeah, if you're not into that genre though, I can definitely see why it's difficult to watch. But when you're getting into like the True Detective is great, just because they're coming down to like, hey, greater powers that can, in government that are committing crimes we don't know. Like it's getting to that like Epstein level of, so this is how crazy some of this stuff is. But I like that about True Detective. And then on the documentary end, we've you said babies or something earlier. We actually like
Making babies.
yeah, making babies. We started watching this one show. It's just called Wild Babies. It's about animals, baby animals, and basically this is a documentary of them like finding their way as little baby. Like they talk about an otter, uh, hyenas. It's really cool. Like I thought it was
Okay.
really interesting. It's really interesting, well narrated TV. And then another one we saw was "You Are What You Eat." It's like that twin experiment where they do
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like it's actually it's pretty cool. It does highlight right some of the the um what you call the the pollution caused by eating farm raised animals stuff like that. So it was interesting. I know it's not like the whole vegan thing is a very weird topic for a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I think it's cool because it makes me realize, hey, look, maybe I don't need to eat this much meat, right? So I've been actually reducing my meat intake just for general health purposes. But yeah, that's really what I've been watching. Now, in terms of video games, I haven't really played anything. I've been watching my family members play a lot of Zelda though. So
Right,
it's a lot of
right.
fun. Um, so like for example, one of my family members is really into Breath of the Wild. She just got the Switch for the first time, and it's just every time we go over, it's like she's playing. It's
Right,
awesome.
right.
Um, but yeah, that's been my entertainment journey for the past few weeks.
Okay. All right. No, it's pretty diverse. Mine's not as diverse. So I watch Lyft. So because I'm a Netflix guy. So yes, you
Mhm.
besmirched my Netflix, but you're not lying. There's a lot of trash content on there now. I
Mhm.
think it's the keeping you around type things. Like, okay, we'll make our own content and that'll keep you on the service, which they just added 13 million new subscribers, which I don't believe they're new subscribers. I believe the 13 million they added are people who were sharing accounts. So, so it
Interesting.
worked. It worked. Good job, Netflix. Password sharing. Um, but that's just going to cause them to surge, and then they're going to make like some stuff I do like I like the bird boxes and things like that when they pop up. But so I watched Lift. It's the Kevin Hart heist movie. Not terrible, but very Netflix. It's very like I don't know, like you said, there's a formula there. So it was entertaining. But I didn't necessarily guess what was going to happen, but they followed a formula. Like you kind of knew it's the Fast and Furious formula. Like they're adding to their like here's the core group, and as we do our thing, we're going to start adding people who should be on
Yeah.
the right side of the law. It's
Right.
it's going to be the next. It's going to be Netflix's version of Fast and Furious when they do the next one and the next one and the next one. I can see it. It has legs.
So it's
Like
weird. It's weird you bring up Lyft, right? So I read an article they were talking about. It was a Kevin Hart article, really, and they were talking about his Netflix movies and how they're getting worse.
Yeah.
According to Rotten Tomatoes ratings, right? And Lift was supposed to be the lowest one yet, and it was like 13% fresh or something.
Really?
So
Okay. I thought it would have got
Interesting.
bigger pop. Because the one he did with Wesley, or was it Wesley Snipes? Yeah, the one he did with Wesley Snipes was great.
no, see, they well, so the last one they said was good was where it was serious fatherhood. They said was the last
So
one.
I said I didn't watch that one yet. I didn't
Yeah,
watch that one yet.
but it's more serious. It's not as much comedy, right? But they're, I think the point they're trying to make is that when he's trying to be comedic or get a little serious and still have the comedy in there, it doesn't work so well. They didn't like him in this one because they just didn't think he played well as the heist master or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
it was
Like
very formulaic.
formulaic, yeah,
Yeah.
Formulaic. Formulaic.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was very like how do we like what is this type of character? And then let's put a Kevin Hart skin on it. Like
Didn't Ludacris in
was not
Fast and
unique.
Furious 2 was like he was like he chopped cars or something, right? But
Yeah.
then he turns into like a hacker
Yep.
later
Yep.
on.
Now he's the mastermind. Because it like he chopped cars, but he still had like
Uh,
the engineer brain, and now they've taken
yeah,
it to the point where now he hacks
yeah.
satellites. Yeah,
I love it. I love,
but
I think for me, it's just like you're talking about Fast and Furious. I am admittedly a huge Fast and Furious nerd. I actually like, how people love Harry Potter, right? They do
yeah.
marathons. I've marathon Fast and Furious. I love those movies,
I
man.
just haven't. I stopped in the one where they're dragging the safes behind the cars. That was
They're
it for
so,
me.
but they are so hilarious. I think for me at this point, it's just like they're just so hilariously bad in terms of like if
Yeah,
you're talking about realism. It's just like stupid fun to me. And they make billions of dollars and
yeah. I can't
in the
knock it
box
because
office.
it was the one. I think it's 10. I saw part of it over a family member's house, and it was Vin Diesel driving the car down the steps, and he kept bouncing the bomb away from people. I was just like, yo, this is ridiculous.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. What else did I watch? So I watched Lift. I watched a lot more Squid Game. So the real life Squid Game that Netflix has is actually really good.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
gotten around to watching it.
it's
You
actually
guys
really
like it?
good. Yeah, because because it's reality TV at this point, right? But
Okay, right, right, right.
the people I think because you know how they highlight people and they watch them and all that stuff. The people I think are going to be the people who are going to make it to the end are all gone. Like they all of them. So like me and my youngest are watching it. And he bets on people. He was like, yo, 3-4-2 or whatever, like that's my guy. He's gonna stick around. And he got bumped and he looked so sad. And I was just like, man, listen, like no one's safe. No one's safe. But yeah, I like it. I like it. I think they did a good job of taking because they're not doing all the tropes from the actual Squid Game series. Like they have a bunch of their own games as well and a bunch of different things that get people kicked out of the show. And I think they're doing a really good job with it. Like they had one that was Battleship, so they're playing like real life Battleship, and it was very suspenseful. I was like, man, they got me on my edge of my seat on this one. Like they're doing a good job, so I enjoyed it. Um, and then I also watched a bunch of anime. So I watched like One Punch Man season 2. It was really
Nice,
good.
nice.
I started back up on Demon Slayer. I need to get more current on that one. But I watched another series. Oh, I started Succession. That's what it was. So I've been hearing great things about
Succession.
Succession.
I
So I
love
started it.
Succession.
I hear season 2 is where it really takes off. I'm in season 1 and it's very dry and slow, and I'm trying to get through
Yes.
it. But I hear season 2 it picks up and it just goes it like
Yeah,
skyrockets from there. I'm just like, am I gonna make it to season 2? Because season 1, I think I'm on episode 4 or 5. I'm just like, whoo, it's
I think to me, I love
dry.
Succession because I think there was a novelty of watching extremely wealthy people just suffer. Like, it's like, yeah, everybody's got their own problems, right? Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, these people have billionaires having problems, right? I think that was interesting. And also what was interesting is how it's like literally they use every corporate buzzword in that show almost
Yeah.
comedically, and it's
Yeah.
hilarious, but when you watch out for those words in real life, it's just more fun,
Right.
It was weird to me that I tried to get on Succession several months ago, and I couldn't
Mhm.
Like after watching the first episode, I was like, I know how this is gonna go. This isn't for me. And it's weird because I watched Billions. Like I watched Billions,
Mhm.
maybe 3.5 seasons of it or something like that. Actually, it might have been 4 seasons because there was a point where it had a long break in there, and it might have been because of COVID, right?
Right.
But I watched Billions and I like Billions, but even Billions near the end of that fourth season, I was kind of like, all right, you guys are getting you're not what made me like you up to this point. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, let me try Succession because like it was I kept seeing stuff about it and people were like, this is a great show. I think it started getting nominated for awards and things
Yeah.
of that nature. And again, after the first episode, I was just like,
It's
no.
Yeah,
super dry, but they
it
say it
delves
takes
in,
off.
yeah, it delves more into some of the psyche of the characters, and you'll start understanding because it's really it's about the children, right?
Yep.
And really Logan as well, the father. But you really start getting into the psyche and to their little why. And as I think as the show progresses, it dives deeper into each of the characters, and that's where I think it's very character driven, and that's what I like about it.
Got you. And then
You turned me away, Chris. You turned me away.
I need
that
fighting. I need kill.
right, right. And that's on Max, but go back to Netflix. There was another one I watched. It was The House of something, The House of Usher. I marathon that one.
Mm.
Um not not innovative in any way, but it scratched an itch because every episode, and I'm not spoiling anything, but the whole thing is the House of Usher. Like all of the kids die. Like they're all adults, but they're all insanely rich. They all fall under the father. So very similar to Succession, except for in this case, every episode has one of them tragically dying in very, very, very bad ways. Um, and at the end of the day, they're all bad people. So you don't feel bad for them, but they like one gets mauled by an ape, you know what I mean? Another one gets
How does that
uh
happen? How does that?
well
Where
it,
is the
it's
repercussion?
so it's built into the series like and I'm not trying to give anything away, but like it's in the commercial. So one of them is in charge of a pharmaceutical company and they experiment on chimps. So not an ape, a chimp. And it it goes down basically. Like you reap what you sow. And you're like, oh man, this is super gory. Another one gets liquefied, right? And it was just like, how does this happen? But yeah, all of them die in very tragic ways, but it's all tied to the father and his sins. So it was more of a uh I didn't watch it because it was groundbreaking. I watched the watch basically I watched a train wreck. I wanted to see how terribly can they make all these people die, and they do it. They do a really good job. All of them die in very very disturbing ways.
So was it only one season?
Yep, that's
Like,
it. Just one season.
like it's got to end after that. After all the children are
Perfect.
dead, right?
Just one season. Yep. Perfect. And then and then the last thing I watched was Bones and All. So it's a horror movie, thriller, suspense, romance movie I've been waiting to watch for a couple years. It came out when I was in Turkey, and I was like, when this streams, I'm gonna watch it. And I put it on my list, and it kept getting buried. So yesterday was that day. I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna watch this, and it did not disappoint. It was just as creepy and disturbing as I thought it would be. The premise is that you have people who are called eaters, right? They're cannibals, apex type humans, but they're very few and far between of these people. The female lead is figuring out that she's one of them, right? Like she has this insatiable uh thing where like if you watch the trailer, like she's sitting next to this girl, she smells her and she was like you could tell like is she attracted to her or what? And then she takes her finger and she bites it off. And I'm like, yes. This happens like in the first 3 minutes of the movie. And then from there, it's just a roller coaster because she's on the run, and then they can smell each other. So like she's just not figuring out like how this works. But like the people who are older have a stronger sense of smell. So like the one dude finds her at a bus station because she's trying to get to her dad is basically like not to give too much away, but her dad's pretty much like you're on your own. You're an adult now. I can't handle this no more. You keep mauling people.
So
I'm
is he
out.
not? Is he not an eater?
He's not. He's not. So he was like, but basically the mom's not around. So you start to think like, okay, the mom must have been one. So he gives the daughter the mom's birth certificate, or no, gives her own birth certificate, which has the mom's name on it because she never met her mom. So he was like, "Hey, you're on your own." He bounces. Here's some money. Here's the birth certificate. I'm out. But he also leaves her a cassette because it's like either the 70s or 80s is kind of the vibe I pick up. And he kind of breaks down like, you don't remember this, but when you were three, you did this. When you were this, you did this. Like here, like this, like I'm not leaving you for no reason. Like you, you are a menace. And here is like basically what you've been up to. Destroy this tape when you get done. Have a good life. And then yeah, she starts to run into people who are like her, and it's very creepy. It's very like, but they get you because they make them normal for stints of periods of time where they're trying to be normal people, and then they can't help themselves, and then they're they're out here eating people again. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I think it's one of those things where, like, when you sent it and I watched the trailer, I was like, Timothy Chalamet. I was like, really? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of turned me off too. Like, Willy Wonka is out here eating people. Like,
That's where he's
Yeah.
from. I was like, man, I've seen this dude recently. Where is he
in,
from? Willy
in
Wonka. Yep.
Dune, in
Yep.
Dune.
Yeah, yeah, it's Dune
Dune, yeah.
there,
Dune,
man.
yeah, there it
I'm
is.
terrible. When you move people around, I'm terrible. I was like, yo, he looks so familiar. He does a good job though. He does a good job because he's also an eater, which I'm not spoiling. It's in the trailer, but just the way they interact with other because they have to stay away from each other, like because they're just you're doing what I'm doing. Like some of them have rules, some of them don't have rules. Some of them eat people while they're alive. Some people wait till their people die. Like it's very complicated. So like, it's a bunch of teenage angst on top of being a cannibal. Love
I'm
it.
out. I'm out. Sounds like Miss Marvel. I'm out.
No, no. But it's yeah, I don't think you would like it, but it's different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be way more of a horror flick, and it's way more of uh a coming of age story with cannibals.
I mean, I guess I should give some of these studios credit for coming up with material that's different. And I don't know if this is based off a book or not, or if it is based off a book, the adaptation of putting stuff out there is different. But some of these things, I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you make a movie about that? Like, who do you think your audience is to where
This is me.
you'll get? Yeah, but like, is it profitable? Like, and here's the thing, I shouldn't say that, right? Because some of these movie makers are like, I don't want things to be profitable. I just want to get my vision out there. Well, you're gonna die hungry. You know what I mean?
Right,
'Cause nobody's
right,
watching your movies. You know what I mean? You could die saying, well, I did it off of principle, but okay, that's fine. But you starved to death because nobody watched your movies and you didn't get hired on anymore, right?
right.
I don't know. I feel differently about that. Like if you want to do a vision, be a documentary director or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to do it making major motion pictures. I'll say that.
No,
So
and I get that, but I don't know, man. Like I'm just really into these weird genre switching tropes, I guess. So like, because there's another one I want to see real bad. It's called I think it's called The Cure, and it's always on a streaming platform I don't have. But it stars Elliot Page, and in it it's post apocalypse. Like the zombie thing happened, and then they found a cure, and now they're dealing with the people who have been cured, and it's kind of uh not racism because they're not a race, but it's like how do you re-enfranchise these people who were murdering people? But not
Mhm.
because they wanted to, it's because they were sick. So like it looks really like my type of movie. Because then there's going to be like a bunch of tension between these two factions, so to speak, right? These people who are trying to be re-enfranchised, like, hey, I'm not a zombie anymore. And these people are just like, nah, man, like you could flip. Like the sickness is still in you. Um, and
how old is this movie? Is this when Elliot was Elliot or Ellen Page?
yeah, when before the
The
transformation.
transition? Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
So this is a few years ago.
Yes, yes. But it's always streaming on something I don't have.
Hmm.
Reeve or what is it like AMC or something like that?
Oh man, I think right now it's now on Showtime. I have Showtime, and it was there, and I did not watch it in enough time, and they pulled it off and they moved it to somewhere else. So it's on something obscure, but it moves around. So I mean, people are paying for it. Like it has some kind of following, I guess. But yeah,
Or it's getting dropped from all
it's
those
just
other
getting dropped and moved
because
around.
nobody's watching it, and they're like, yeah, we'll pick it up, but for dimes on the dollar, you know what I mean?
Right, right. I do want to see it. I just don't want to pay for it. So whenever it hits the streaming platform I'm on, I'm there. I'm gonna watch it finally. But that's pretty much it. And then I've been trying to play a game called Power World. It's taking the world by storm. So World is on Steam and Xbox consoles. I got it free through Game Pass. It is a Pokemon with guns. So if you watch the trailer, it is ridiculous. It looks
I love that.
gorgeous. Uh, I'm having an issue with it only because to get to the fun part, you have to get through the base building part, and I'm just not good with those type of games. Those type of gathering resources and building things. I want to jump straight to the part where I get guns with Pokemon. So I caught a couple of those creatures, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to quickly get through the base building part because then you can start to automate it. So it goes a step further than Pokemon. Like you're doing resource gathering, you're doing base building, and then you're doing automation of your bases, right? So like you enslave these things, and then you're able to bring them back to your base and say, okay, you're going to water crops, you're going to collect materials, you're going to build guns, like so you can get them to automate it for you. And then you take a step further, people will find out that you can capture people. So as you're roaming around, you can enslave people. It's crazy. It's taking all of the memes from Pokemon where he's just like, this is basically like dog fighting and enslavement, and they made it a game.
That's hilarious.
Nintendo's gonna sue the crap out of them because they're up to like 8 million copies sold. Like this thing is selling like
Impressive.
hotcakes. Yeah. Because everybody just wants a better looking Pokemon. Like if you would just make it, Nintendo, if you'd make a Pokemon that look good, we'd play it. Like we play the crappy ones, we'll play the new one too. And as you can see, someone finally jumped the shark and copied your like it's different than Pokemon, but it's very much Pokemon. And now they're up to like 2 million concurrent players. It's got the second highest concurrent player count of Steam history. And on top of it, even though it's free on Game Pass, it's sold like 8 million copies in like a week. So it's pretty crazy. Couple weeks because it's kind of like in beta preview, so it's not officially out, but you can buy it type situation. So, but it's selling like hotcakes. I just can't get past the first part of the base building part. I started and then I just get bored and I move on. But I watch videos of people flying around on Pokemon, like shooting each other, and I'm just like, ah man, I want to get there. I want to get to that part. And like you can use them as weapons too. Like not only can you sick them on other people and creatures, like throw it out like a Pokeball and then it attacks or whatever, and you give it commands. But you can also like some of them have secondary features, like you could pick up the fox and it's a flamethrower, or you can take the penguin and you shove them into a bazooka and you could fire them like a rocket. Like it's ridiculous. I just have to get to that part. So that's me. That's what I've been up to. And then starting to study. I got a couple certs I'm thinking that are
Nice.
on my horizon. So I found a 11-hour CCSP course on YouTube.
Is
I
it a
don't know.
Peter Zerger? That one's really good.
I think it is. I think it
Yeah,
is.
that one's really good. So actually, I used him to pass my CISSP, or he's got the 8 hour CISSP exam cram. So
Yeah,
his
I think it is his. Yeah.
CCSP course is really good. I think I want to get CCSP by the end of the year. I'm gonna strike while the iron's hot. So I'm thinking like one cert a year for me. I think
Yeah.
is an okay goal. Also, you meet your CPEs by studying for
Right, exactly.
that.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah,
I'm going for. Like so I've let my CCNA go. So now I have to replace it with
yeah,
something.
man. Yeah, so
So
I'm for vendor, I'm going for Azure fundamentals, and I'm gonna get AWS fundamentals too, just so I can be well rounded. But I want to get some of those cloud certs as well to
yeah.
augment what I already know. Yay,
Yeah. So I'm looking at that one and I'm also looking at
pad that resume.
CMMC. It's just a hot topic. Like I have people
Mhm.
who I've talked to about it. So like you, Chris, and then also Darren King Jr. and now there's another gentleman I'm talking to about like it's going to be the thing for the next couple of years. So I kind of want to get into that as
Get in
well.
early, man. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
get in.
I
I want
think
to get
it's
in. Yeah, I want to get in early. So but I don't know which one I want to do first. So I got to figure it out.
I mean CCSP is now we're back on cybersecurity. I think CCSP is a non-vendor specific, so it's I think it's a good way to you can't go wrong. I think you can't go wrong.
Yeah. So that's where I'm currently at with my studies and what have you. But I'll have to wait until the football season's over.
Yeah. Yeah, this time of the year is just very unproductive from a studying standpoint. Like, oh, football's on. I can't.
Right, right, exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So this week coming up, like I said, I have Ask a CISSP coming up, and I have another one I'm recording tomorrow actually, and then trying to get better with production. So I'm gonna start to play around with making clips and things of that nature. So I usually shy away from it because it's a lot of work, but um, just trying to get the brand out there a little bit more. So that's pretty much it. So thank you for those who listened to us the past 45 minutes. Greatly appreciate you and your listenage, less patronage, listenage, is that thing? If not, I made it up. All right. Trademarked. Um, definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Definitely hit us up on all the websites that go by our name. Again, Monday, Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday, discussion, Thursday, Ask CISSP, and then Friday, everything else. Um, hit up the websites that go by our name, like I said, and then hit me up personally at RYRY Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. And you, Chris?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Chris Abacon, spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.